In recent times, we have heard quite a number of highly educated British women joining the fold of Islam, haven't we? A majority of these women either give up Christianity or their former atheist lifestyle for Islam, for Allah. In this video, we'll be going over the story of one such British woman revert named Jamila, previously called Julie Carroll. This story is based on a few media interviews she did after her Shahada. So, to begin with, Julie Carroll was born in the small village of Denton, Northamptonshire. Both her parents were atheists. Due to her ailing brother, she was sent to live with her grandmother, who was a Baptist Christian. As a result, Julie did pretty much everything the same as her grandmother, whether it was going to church, running the toddlers group, or doing the coffee mornings. As she grew up, she pursued medicine and became a chiropodist. She then endeavoured to start her own business, but to help set it up, she sought help from a friend to give her volunteer work through the church. So, resultantly, she became part of an organisation called Women's Aid. There, she made an acquaintance with a very nice lady who was a social worker. Her name was Hamida, and the two of them really got along. Moving on, after 10 years of working with Hamida, Julie had a conversation on religion with her. A couple of other colleagues were also involved. When asked about her religion, Hamida said that she is a Muslim. Julie couldn't believe it. She says, "I was absolutely stunned and mortified that this educated woman could follow such a religion because that's how it's shown on the media." From that day onwards, Julie tried relentlessly to turn Hamida into a Christian. However, Hamida's faith was unfazed, and after being tired of listening to Julie argue, Hamida said to her one day, "If you can find any fault, any mistake, any one thing that's not correct with Islam, not with people, with Islam, with the Quran, Hadith, or the Sharia law, I'll come to Christianity." Julie was glad to hear that. She thought it would be quite easy to win that challenge. It was only when she actually began studying Islam that she realized that her whole life was going to turn upside down. So, Julie went home and studied the book that Hamida had given her. She couldn't find anything wrong with Islam in that book, so she thought to herself that maybe that book is biased. Accordingly, she went to a bookstore and bought more books on Islam. She read plenty of books in a period of 6 months, but couldn't find even a single fault. Every day at work, Hamida would pass a smile at Julie, saying, "Find anything yet?" And Julie would always reply that she's working on it. One day, Julie saw this show on television about the concept of women being stoned in Islam. She immediately thought to herself that this is what she needs to prove Hamida wrong. So she went to that same bookstore and this time bought a book on Islamic Sharia. She read about the different Islamic laws and reached the conclusion that they were all just. In fact, she found out that the punishments laid out in Sharia for different crimes and misdeeds were far lenient than those prescribed by her country's constitution nearly 100 years back. Julie was so frustrated by Hamida laughing at her every day, so she instead asked her to point out any fault in Christianity. To her surprise, within a matter of minutes, Hamida pointed out so many mistakes in Christianity that Julie was unaware of. So she went home and decided to evaluate Christianity this time around. Soon she realized that she had been following a fabricated religion all along. At that moment, she knew in her heart that she was going to revert to Islam. She says, "When you look back at the history of Christianity, it's been changed so many times. It's no longer the word of God, but Islam is exactly as it was when it was made." The next day, Julie went to Hamida and told her that she wanted to convert to Islam. Hamida could see that Julie wasn't 100% convinced of the truth of Islam, so she told her to go back home, turn on her computer, and watch the Miracle of the Quran on YouTube. Julie did exactly that, and she was left flabbergasted. She says, "I was amazed at how many things were in there that nobody could have known in those days. Some things they only found out 50 years ago that are true, that have been there all along. So I saw that Islam was the perfect religion." Moving on, now that Julie was completely sure that being Muslim was how she wanted to spend the rest of her life, Hamida called her uncle, who is an imam, for doing Julie's Shahada, and thereafter she became a Muslim aged 32. She chose her Islamic name to be Jamila. Due to the image of Islam in English society, and partly because her parents were anti-religion, Jamila decided to keep her conversion a secret. She stopped going to church but never told any of her old acquaintances from there the real reason behind that. Fast forward 3 years, Jamila met a black Muslim guy from Zanzibar, and 2 years later they got married. It was Julie's first marriage as a Muslim, second overall. When Julie's parents found out, they were infuriated, especially her father, who passed racist comments on her husband and said that to Jamila that he would force her to become Muslim. It was only at that time that Jamila decided to reveal to her parents that she was a Muslim herself. However, it didn't matter much to them because whether a Christian or a Muslim, God was a silly idea. Moving on, as time passed, Jamila had a conflict about wearing hijab as the Muslim lady Hamida, who played a major role in persuading her to convert, didn't wear one. Anyhow, after doing a lot of research, Jamila decided to start wearing hijab herself. Once again, she received a disappointing reaction from her parents. However, soon after, her father got Alzheimer's, as a result of which he lost memory of many things, Julie's husband being black amongst them. So, during the last days before his death, Jamila's relationship with her father thrived. Jamila's mother, on the other hand, contracted cancer soon after, and Jamila went to nurse her. In her mother's last days, Jamila believes that she had started to see the truth underlying Islamic practices such as Salah. Due to her mother's worsening condition, Jamila can't say for sure whether or not she had converted to Islam before her death, but she really hopes that she did. Those people who are confused about their religious identities, as well as the born Muslims, Jamila urges them to read more about religion and to do their own research instead of believing what everyone else says. Having said that, this heartwarming story of Sister Jamila comes to its end. May Allah accept us all.